Well, good evening, one and all. Tracy, go ahead and take roll if you would, please.
Harrington,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Pollock,
Here.
Smith, Wason.
Here.
Okay. Annie, I think you had a request that you wanted to make to council this evening. You're on mute.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment here and ask for a moment of silence with everyone here on our meeting, just with the anniversary of George Floyd's death 1 year ago today. So if we could just all have a moment of silence, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda's before you, no changes, additions, or deletions. A motion to approve.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any items on there that you would like to talk about first?
Mayor, there's only one thing really on that consent agenda, and I assume Kevin will hit on it, and that's the Southwest growth area and the delays that we had. So this is a rather large payment. So I can probably just wait until then, but I assume it wouldn't be on the consent agenda if it wasn't good with staff.
That's a fair assumption, Chris.
Kevin, can you just go ahead and do a review of that?
Yeah, let me pull that up. Okay, so this is just the pay application. What's your specific question, Chris?
You're on mute, Chris.
Jesus, everybody's doing this tonight. Kevin, we've had some delays and we're probably going to be running into delays as this project picks up. Is there enough left in retention to make up for that? This was just a large pay request.
Yeah, let's see. We still got 123,000 in retainage. Yeah, we will, Chris.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
I'll go over that a little bit during my report.
Okay. Motion to approve a consent agenda, please.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Kevin, back to you for the full report.
Okay, we'll start with the Southwest Growth Utilities. They're out there working. Right now they're working on the electrical and the exterior doors in the building, preparing the base for the parking lot, and finished testing of the gravity sewers. So they are making progress, but yes, it is behind schedule. It's quite a bit behind schedule. We already approved an extension of the substantial completion to May 13th. Well, obviously we're past May 13th. So we're still waiting. We've got a meeting with them again on Thursday. It'll be on site with the general contractor and all their subcontractors. And we'll have hopefully some better information, but the final completion is also May 31st, which obviously they're not going to make that if they don't even hit their substantial completion date. I know that myself and Fox Engineering and Ryan and the rest of the city staff are well aware of the delays and the issues on the project, and the contractor's been made full aware of all that as well. I think Fox has been doing a good job of documenting everything. So we'll do everything in our power to continue to enforce the contract. And I would fully expect that liquidated damages will come into play at the end of the project. Rancho Way Phase 5 project. The contract is not approved by the DOT yet. We expect it to be approved very soon. And at that time, as soon as they approve it, we will schedule the pre-construction meeting with PCI. So hopefully we'll have that meeting in a week or so. I believe PCI is ready to start and have the pre-construction meeting. So as soon as we get that authorization, we'll schedule that meeting. Rancho House renovation phase 2. That's another one that's going to be behind. And that's mainly because of we've got a ship date now from the contractor on the recently approved change order work, the lattice and the stairs in the front. So that's not until June 18th is the ship date. So they are planning on installing that stuff soon afterwards. And Guy may actually, the city's doing the site restoration, and I think Guy is now going to sod it. And he may choose to sod the lawn, or at least part of the lawn before that. I did talk to Guy today, and that's what he's kind of thinking. So hopefully it'll look near completion much sooner than June 18th. And we are working with the contractor right now to schedule the walkthrough and generate the punch list for the project. And it's either going to be, last I saw, it's either going to be Thursday of this week or early next week. The pool heater replacement project. So we have the public hearing tonight, and the bids are due on June 1st. There was an issue that was raised at the pre-bid meeting that has us a little nervous. It's mainly about availability and lead times for some of the materials. We're attempting to address that with an addendum tomorrow to the project, and hopefully able to change out some materials. The problem right now is wood, metal. There's a lot of other materials that are just hard to get right now, and some of the prices are still really volatile. So we're a little bit nervous about what the bids are going to be on June 1st, but we're going to try to address everything we can in an addendum tomorrow. I know one of the issues was the sheet metal on the roofing, and we wanted to change that out. I don't have all the details, but I know that we were working with the structural engineer to see if we can find a different material for that situation. City Hall project. We are continuing with the programming concept phase. We've got another review meeting with city staff tomorrow, and we're planning for a city council update on June 22nd. So that's the second meeting in June. For Evergreen Road Trail, we have completed 100% plans, and we submitted that to city staff. And we've got a final review meeting coming up, and that'll be, we're looking to award a contract in July. And then lastly is the Centennial Park Loop Road. We're almost done with 100% plans. That's planned for a week from Friday. And then we're planning on awarding a contract on July 27th. So I think that's all I have tonight, unless there's questions about any of those items.
Questions for Kevin?
Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
I think Annie had one.
Annie, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
You're in the
Kevin, I
corner
don't know if
over
this is
here.
for
I
you.
don't see you.
What's that? I'm sorry.
You're in the corner over here, so it's hard to see.
Okay. Kevin, maybe this is for you or Ryan. Just question for the next phase with Rancho Way or Highway 965. What's our communication plan, or how are we talking with some business owners that are impacted along that area? And maybe I just had a question from one this evening about just how the communication will be to business owners along kind of 965. So don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just had a question about an hour ago from a business owner.
We will be working, of course, Nick will be working on notifying or keeping the property owners aware of things. And so it'll be similar to what we did previously, and we'll have a projects page on the website. We'll also be able to send direct emails out to those who who sign up. We've been obviously in communication with a number of them already who we need easements and acquisitions from. So when you get a question like that, certainly direct them to the webpage or direct them to the communications email address. I think it's communications@northumbriaiowa.org. And we can get them signed up on the for the auto blasts that'll go out for the project.
Perfect. Thanks. I didn't think of the auto blast email, but told them for the website. So thank you.
Any other question? Okay, back to you, Ryan.
Okay, great. Just a couple things. One, just going back to the pay application for the Southwest Growth. Just a reminder, when those come in, that's for work already completed or materials already stored. And so we really don't have any authority to withhold those payments, but that is why we hold the retainage. So in addition to the 100+ thousand, I think Kevin, you said $123,000 retainage we're holding now, that retainage will increase as future pay requests come in because we hold 5% from every pay request. So we feel pretty confident in all the projects that we do that 5% can cover it. And then of course, if we were concerned, as Chris noted, we certainly wouldn't have it on the consent agenda. So good question. And thanks for the opportunity to maybe talk a little bit more about that. The only other thing I had tonight was just a quick COVID update in terms of operations at the city. And we've sent some information out this week to members of the rec center or people who have used the rec center or community center, as well as Nick sent something out this afternoon. But just a quick recap for our listeners and for the council. City Hall, the City Hall campus will be opening to our regular hours for opening our lobby on June 1. And then our building inspection department also anticipates starting in-person inspections on July 1. The library will be also on June 1, resuming regular operating hours, which is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 8, Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 10, and Sunday, Sunday, 1 to 4. And we will be allowing drop-ins, so we won't need to schedule appointments there at the library. However, we will still monitor capacity so that we don't get too full there. Recreation side, similarly, we'll be continuing the regular hours. Again, we'll be allowing drop-in services, so won't have to schedule appointments. And one of the points that I was asked to bring up is that the door between the rec facility and the library will still remain closed, at least for now, so that we can kind of keep an eye on numbers in each part of the building. The outdoor pool is scheduled to open June 12th, and that is a couple days after school's out. At least the Iowa City School District is out. Initially, we're going to limit capacity to 125 people, which is roughly 25% of the pool capacity. I anticipate that this will be fluid. This will be something we'll look at as the summer goes on to determine if we can open that up a little bit more. The first hour of operations, the first hour that the pool is open, will be for those with a membership, and then after that first hour, we'll allow drop-in use. And then from the indoor pool standpoint, that will operate separately. So there'll be an entrance on the outside for the outdoor pool, and then an entrance on the inside for the indoor pool. And we'll do our regular lap swims, aqua exercises, etc. The fire department is going to start allowing on June 1 in-person tours of the fire station and educational opportunities. This has been something that we've gotten a lot of requests on and just have not been able to accommodate. So the department will pick that back up. And then they'll also start their inspection process on July 1 as well. we will continue, or we will be pushing out. In fact, I think Nick did this as well, a masked until you're vaxxed policy. So we're asking patrons who are not fully vaccinated to continue to wear a mask, while any of those folks who are vaccinated would not be asked to wear that mask. And then the one exception here is with our before and after school program or our summer camp program. And because some of those children, probably most of them or all of them, cannot be vaxxed, at least yet, we'll have them and the folks working with them wearing masks. And then lastly, city council meetings, as the mayor has alluded to, will go to in-person on July 13th. That's the first meeting in July. We will have an audio option. We'll be using our phone system if folks are not comfortable coming into the council chambers. So that is a real quick rundown. And like I said, we released some information today and we'll continue to put that out to the public so they're aware of the plan moving forward. That's what I have, Mayor, unless there are other questions.
Questions? Okay, Mayor's report. We have our Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting tomorrow starting at 4:30, and then followed at 7 o'clock for emergency management. This will probably be the last management meeting for the summer, so things have really tapered off and cooled off as far as items are concerned. Also, I wanted to give a particular salute to Liberty High School and Clear Creek Amana track teams for a fantastic showing at the state track meet. They did marvelous. Just happy for them and happy to salute both schools at the same time. Going on, Livestock Ordinance. This will be the third consideration and adoption of Ordinance 2021-06. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of North Liberty, updating portions of the Animal Control Code concerning livestock within city limits. Anyone wish to establish the third and final reading?
So moved.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Teresa, yes, Brian?
So I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge that a lot of people have been writing in pro and con of chicken and or various concerns and stuff. And I want to just let those people know, because I think they've been watching, that that's really appreciated. And the level of thought put into some of these messages and the discourse is really, really appreciated. It's kind of a controversial topic, and people really kind of stayed to with the facts, tried to keep a lot of emotion out of it, and really was appreciative of us trying to get back and forth with them. So I really appreciate that, no matter where you side on the chicken issue. So
Thanks, Brian. Any other comments? Tracy, please.
Wason,
aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington.
Third reading passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Number 9, this will be the third consideration and adoption of Ordinance 2021-07. An ordinance amending Chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located on the west side of North Liberty Road, approximately 700 feet north of Salm Drive, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for the RD10 2-unit residential district. Anyone wish to establish that final consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussions or questions? Tracy, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Third consideration passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Next will be a resolution number 2021-43. A resolution approving the preliminary plat of Greenbelt Trail Part 2B, North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Pollock.
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Next item, third consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2021-08. An ordinance amending chapter 45, North Liberty Code of Ordinances to allow the consumption and sale of alcohol in authorized public areas. Anyone wish to establish that third and final?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions?
Just one, Mayor.
Yes.
Ryan, I know I asked on the last meeting, the second reading, or Tracy, have we received any comments from the city on this or to the city?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Tracy, take roll, please.
Harrington.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Third and final consideration passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Budget amendment. Now's the time for a public hearing in regards to a budget amendment for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. Did we receive any written letters for or against?
No.
Is there anyone present on screen that would like to make comment? If not, call the public hearing to a close. Ryan, would you just give us a good overview of what happened and how it's going to turn out?
I'm going to defer that to Tracy, Mayor.
I knew you'd pass it off.
I win. Basically, we're updating our expenditures for unexpected expenses for fiscal year 21. The biggest unexpected expenses of the year were the hailstorm, the derecho, ongoing COVID expenses, additional electricity charges with the new police department being built, increased insurance costs, and other things like projects that crossed over fiscal years that we didn't include in the budget because we thought maybe they might be done. So in a nutshell, that's the brief summary. I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions for Tracy? If not, this would be resolution number 2021-44, a resolution amending the current budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? Tracy?
Pollock.
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Item 12, pool water heater replacement project. Now's the time for a public hearing regarding proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and cost of project. Did we receive any letters or communications for or against?
None have been received.
Thank you. Anyone online that wish to make comment? If not, call the public hearing to a close. You have before you resolution number 2021-45, resolution finally approving and confirming plans, specs, estimate of cost for the pool water heater replacement project. Kevin, did you want to give any final comments?
Nope, I don't think I have anything to add unless there's questions.
Annie?
Kevin, I'm sure we'll discuss it at the meeting and have communication beforehand, but with your potential concern, I guess just being mindful of, if it's how the bid comes in from a financial standpoint, and the timing of supplies. I guess we'll just kind of wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I had some discussion with the engineers in charge of the project today about Plan B, and we don't really have a Plan B until we know what the issue is or is not. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a good bid, and maybe there'll be no delays. That's the hope. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other thing you want to contribute, Kevin, or you covered it pretty well before? Okay, resolution before you. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Gleason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes for affirmative, none opposed, one absent. Dubuque Street Project, resolution number 2021-46. A resolution approving the purchase of temporary construction easements by the city of North Liberty for the Dubuque Street Phase 1 project. Russ or whomever, do you want to do a little quick overview on that one?
I can take it, Mayor, unless Ryan, you want.
Go ahead.
These are some of the temporary construction easements we need for the Dubuque Street Phase 1 project. There's several more that property owners that have said yes, and we'll have more on the way for our next meeting. These were all agreed to at the terms that were approved by council at the previous meeting. So there's nothing controversial or of note here. Everything is sort of as expected. I'm happy to answer any questions folks might have.
Any questions or comments? You've heard the resolution. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final question. Tracy?
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Gleason,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes for affirmative, none opposed, one absent. Okay. Item 14, this is regards to the 2021A borrowing. Somebody want to give us a little advanced preview of that one?
Yes, I can take that one. This is the time of year where the city sells bonds to cover costs of projects that have been completed or are just about ready to be completed. There's a summary of those in the memo, and I'm trying to bring that up right now. So we're looking at a total of just over $7 million. You probably saw the resolution that was sent out a little earlier today that Tiana asked the numbers be changed just slightly, and we'll get those updated in this chart for the next go around, but to cover the costs of the issuance. But in general, about 2.3 million for Ranshaw Way Phase 2. You might remember this is in order to reimburse the DOT. We reimbursed them the full amount already of I think it was 1.78 million roughly. So we reimbursed them about half of that. This will be for the other half. And then St. Andrews Drive is included in this bond issuance as well. So is the remainder of the police station. We borrowed for some of that last year. And then we have a pumper truck that we're borrowing for. This is just a piece of that truck. We paid for the rest of that with cash on hand. And then again, the aquatic center boiler or heater project, we are looking to use borrowed funds to pay just for a portion of that, while the other portion will be paid for again with cash on hand.
Questions for Ryan? If not, this will be resolution 2021-47, a resolution setting the date for public hearing on proposal to enter into general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or question? Tracy, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Next item, Mead Farm, Lynn County REC utility easement. This will be resolution number 2021-48. A resolution approving the public easement agreement for electric utility and franchisees between Lynn County Rural Electric Cooperative and the city of North Liberty. Somebody want to give a little detail on what we're actually doing on that one, please?
Sure. So all of our utilities that have franchises are allowed to operate in our right of way, but we generally prefer them to operate in utility easements. Lynn County REC asked the city if they could have a utility easement across this property. It's the Mead Farm, but it's the farmhouse right next to Penn Meadows Park. And after conferring with staff, that's a great place for an easement. And in fact, we're opening it up to all franchisees for utility easement that might need to use it there. So this agreement is allowing Lynn County REC and anyone who has a franchise with the city to use that area as they would if it was listed as a utility easement on a subdivision plat.
Thank you. This will be again resolution 2021-48. Anyone wish to establish that resolution agreement?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or question?
Just one question. Grant, will this affect anything that we see above ground, or will this be for future use? Nothing above ground is going underground right now.
Everything will stay underground. This is for an underground utility easement, correct? So this will not affect anything that's underground at all, or that's above ground right now.
Any other questions? Tracy, take roll.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Next is space covering resolution. I'll just go ahead and read this one. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of North Liberty, Iowa, that whereas Lynn County Rural Electric, not going to shock ourselves on that one. Be it resolved, whereas the City of North Liberty has adopted the North Liberty Face Covering Public Health Initiative to help combat the spread of COVID-19. And whereas the North Liberty Face Covering Public Health Initiative encourages, but does not mandate, that individuals and businesses in the city to comply with recommended saving practices to reduce the spread of the virus. And whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has updated its interim public health recommendations for fully vaccinated people, providing that fully vaccinated people can resume activities without wearing masks or physically distancing, except where required by federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations. And whereas few, if any, community members under age 16 have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, No community members under the age of 12 are yet eligible to be vaccinated, and some otherwise eligible members may be unwilling or unable to become vaccinated. And whereas it is critically important to protect the residents, visitors, students, and employees in the city of North Liberty from the spread of COVID-19, and whereas the city of North Liberty desires that individuals and businesses in the city comply with recommended practices to reduce the spread of the virus. Now therefore be it resolved that the North Liberty Face Covering Public Health Initiative is hereby modified to be in harmony with current public health recommendations, to wit, all eligible persons within the corporate limits of the city of North Liberty are encouraged to be vaccinated against COVID-19 virus to help protect themselves and others. Fully vaccinated people may safely resume most activities without need for wearing masks or social distancing. Fully vaccinated people should still get tested if experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Fully vaccinated people should not visit private or public settings if they have tested positive for COVID-19 in the prior 10 days or are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Fully vaccinated people shall continue to follow any applicable federal, state, local, tribal, or territorial laws and regulations. Fully vaccinated people who feel they should continue wearing masks are urged to keep doing so. Residents should respect the policies of private businesses, facilities, and events that may require mask wearing. The individual choices of residents to wear masks should also be respected. All other North Liberty Face Covering Public Health Initiative recommendations concerning face coverings and social distances for unvaccinated persons remain unchanged. Therefore, we ask the North Liberty City Council to adopt this resolution as policy. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
Since I'm dealing with this most, I will move it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions?
Brian, I was waiting for your lead. Thanks for motioning this one.
Mayor, I just have a comment.
Yes.
I just really want to thank publicly here all the work you've done, Mayor, Ryan, Tracy, Nick, his team, everyone on city staff, Counselor Smith for Project Better Together. It's just, it's been a long haul, 14 months, and just really want to continue to publicly thank everyone's hard work on this.
Other comments or questions? Tracy, take roll.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Next item, water rate amendment. Now's the time for a public hearing regarding proposed water rate amendment. Basically, we're talking about 2%. Is that correct, Ryan? Anyone, have we received any comments from anyone, or letters or emails?
We have not.
Okay, anyone who may be online that would like to make comment? If not, public hearing comes to a close. This will be the first consideration of ordinance number 2021-09, an ordinance amending chapter 9202, rates for service. And entitled to services, municipal code in North Liberty by adopting a new section 9202 to increase the charges for water used. Anyone wish to establish the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Again, given to understand, if you're asked a question, it is a 2% increase wastewater stays the same. Any final questions? Tracy, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
First consideration passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Physicians Building rezoning request. Russ, give us a preliminary view on this one.
Sure thing, Mayor. Here's property location, west side of South Kansas, a little bit, about a quarter mile north of Forever Green. We were approached several months ago about someone looking to put their corporate headquarters on the west side of the city. We weren't clear at the time who it was, but we quickly kind of honed in on this area as the Southwest Growth Area Sewer was underway and felt like it would be completed before they were ready to break ground. So after a bit of time, we learned that was Steinler Orthopedic Clinic looking to locate their corporate headquarters here. Obviously, we had some sensitive things to talk about with our neighbors who we want to be friendly with in Iowa City, and we followed all those procedures. But current property is zoned ID. They're looking for an office research park zoning. This would be medical offices with the potential for a hospital. The future land use designation is commercial with residential. And the one thing I would like to point out is our comprehensive plan encourages larger scale office mixed use development along the Kansas Street corridor, particularly along the Forever Green Road area, and generally allows our 380 I-380 to be our front door. And so it was staff's opinion that this would be an ideal location for this type of use. It could be a campus, which the office research park encourages. So city staff had a couple of findings about consistency. It would be compatible with the area. We do recommend approval. There was a neighborhood meeting on April 8th. This was done online through Zoom. Approximately 10 people attended. People just had general questions about the development and really how the southwest area of the city is going to grow. The applicant indicated that at this point in time, they don't have a plan for the property. They're still working that out, but they're looking to secure the zoning before formally purchasing the property. But what I did commit to the people who attended the Good Neighbor meeting is I would certainly reach out to them as they are impacted. When we do get plans, we'll certainly reach back out to them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now's the time for a public hearing regarding the proposed rezoning from interim development to office ORP. Did we receive any letters, emails, or communications from anyone?
We did not, Mayor.
I'm sorry,
We did not.
did not. Thank you. Is there anyone online wishing to speak in regards to this rezoning? If not, call the public hearing to a close. This will be the first consideration of ordinance number 2021-10, an ordinance amending chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located on the west side of South Kansas Avenue, approximately 0.23 miles north of the West Forever Green Road, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for the ORP Office and Research Park District. Anyone wish to establish the first consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, take roll.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
First consideration passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Number 19, Solomon Holdings LLC rezoning request. Russ, I'm putting this back to you again.
Thank you, Mayor. And I apologize in advance. I probably will be a bit more long-winded on this one, more than normal anyway. So this one is, the applicant is requesting to expand an underutilized commercial lot with currently developed with overflow parking, and also incorporating the southern portion of the Tin Roost property. And I've shown on a couple site plans where the improvements are, as well as the aerial photographs. The applicant is currently requesting the planned area development, PAD, in order to construct a 4-story 60-unit building, as well as a 1-story office building. Please recall that the PAD is intended to allow flexibility because it's encouraging innovation with use to the built environment. So the PAD, the flexibility that's being requested is the C2A zoning doesn't normally allow for residential development by itself. In this case, we would have a residential building as well as a standalone commercial building. And so the flexibility is to allow those two uses on the same property, as well as to exceed the height limitations in the C2A district. And this just kind of gives you an idea of how the proposed property is going to be laid out. This would be the 4-story multifamily building, and then this would be the single-story building adjacent to the north end of the property. And this gives you an idea of the materials that would be used and kind of the scale of the building, and how it would, I think, relate very well with the adjacent properties in the area. And here's just a floor plan, 15 units on each story. We'll just talk about public input first. We did send letters to property owners within 200 feet. As you can see, the boundary touches the property to the west. So we did notify, in addition to the commercial lots that were adjacent, 120 property owners. We did hold a neighborhood meeting. A small number of people attended. Didn't get a great deal of objection from the request. But to date, we received 1 letter of objection and 1 letter of in favor. So whenever I analyze a rezoning request, I look at a couple of things, and I look at would be consistent with the comprehensive plan? Is it compatible with the surrounding area? And does it meet the city's design standards? So I'm going to kind of go through each of those. Future land use map designation currently is commercial. The property would remain as C2A, although the PAD is being requested here. But the C2A zoning is consistent with the commercial land use designation. And I just want to pull out a couple of policies in our comprehensive plan. One is that it reads that the highest densities of more locally oriented commercial uses along that Penn Street and Highway 965 corridor. And also another one that I pulled out was concentrate higher density apartment type housing in proximity to areas that offer a wide range of existing supportive services, commercial and recreational facilities. Obviously, we have a Liberty Center Pond, but you can actually take a walking trail over to the rec center, and you've got the community trails as well as pretty vibrant commercial in this little node here. Next, when you start to talk about compatibility with the area, so I know this is probably a little bit on the more dense that we've seen in this area, and 4 stories. We don't have a lot in recent history that was approved, and so that caused me pause and thought, well, we need to take a little bit better look at that. So again, I mentioned 60 unit building. Proposed height from grade to the top of the parapet, that's just the horizontal wall at the top, is 48 feet 8 inches. And so I just want to kind of give you an idea of what kind of scale that is in the city. And so just to draw a comparison, Keystone Place at Forever Green, that's a 75-unit building, much larger footprint, and the building height from grade to the top of the roof is 48.5. So it just gives you an idea of what kind of scale this building is. Although again, I mentioned that the footprint is much smaller than the Keystone. Property to the west, as we mentioned, 120 units. That is on 9.67 acres. 8 of the buildings are 41 feet high from grade to the top of the roof, and the 2 buildings that are right adjacent to it here are about 43 feet from grade. So I would argue that even though it's 4 stories, the additional height's pretty marginal with the area, and I wouldn't think that it's right. I would assert it's not out of character with this area. So one comp plan that I wanted to repeat was just at concentrating higher density apartment type housing areas and that offer really to this area, and this isn't a new concept in the planning world, but we call this an urban node, and these areas tend to be a lot healthier because you have the intersection of 2 arterial roads. And so I just drew a radius around the center point of that. It's not a magic number. It was 1,000 feet, but just shows you those types of things that we have within that commercial node. And this is probably one of our more healthier areas from a commercial standpoint. You have a lot of amenities and restaurants that you want to have residential close to because you want to encourage people to walk to those types of places. And so when I look at this area, would I think a 4-story, 60-unit building would be appropriate anywhere in the city? That's absolutely not. But when you start to look in these areas with these commercial nodes, I think at higher density is warranted in this location. One thing that we also looked at was the parking requirements, about what was required by city code and what they would like to provide. Now, the city code does provide the zoning administrator some flexibility when there is data to support that. And so one of the changes I've been looking at, and really when you look at off-street parking regulations, they came about in the 1940s to the 1970s as a concern to reduce congestion in public streets. That is the reason for cities to require parking minimums. So I've just kind of looked through what the current code is. Current code is 2.2, and this is for residential, per dwelling unit. And that is regardless if it's a studio, 1 apartment, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. And so I looked at other communities just to show kind of what those parking rates are. And the reason I pulled out Cedar Rapids and Davenport is because these are recent zoning ordinances that talk about these parking minimums. And so contemplated change that would obviously be forthcoming to you these are more reasonable parking standards. And they would actually, as proposed, meet these parking standards with this contemplated change. And so we do have the approval standards, which is the PAD requirements. And PAD requires you to do a full site plan. And obviously we have the full city design standards. So basically what we have in front of you today is a site plan that we've been reviewing over the past several months. And it meets, with the exception of a few conditions, all of the development standards that we have in the city. We just have to secure things like easements and who owns the property and things like that. So staff did have 3 findings. It would be consistent with the comprehensive plan. It would be compatible with the area, and then it meets the city's design standards. So city staff and the planning commission recommended approval. There's 11 conditions, but I drew a line through the ones that the plans in front of you reflect that they've addressed these comments. So we only have a couple of outstanding comments, and those again are more like easements that would come during the development process. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.
Any questions for Ryan right off the bat? Annie?
First, Russ, outstanding review. Thanks for being long-winded on that. It's helpful. Can you just talk about the letter of opposition, what the opposition noted in there, please?
Yeah, so it basically was a very short email and it just said, we think this area should remain commercial. And it doesn't give me a lot. I don't know if they were a property owner that owned the adjacent residential building, but all they say, they thought the area should remain commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now's the time for a public hearing regarding proposed rezoning regarding Solomon Holdings LLC rezoning request to C2A Highway Commercial District Planned Area Development. We'll go ahead and take the 2 emails or letters and make sure they're in the public record. Is there anyone online wishing to speak in regards to this rezoning?
I do
Yes,
see Mr. There he is. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Hey, good evening, city staff, council, and mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to give a few minutes to speak here. I'm Brandon Pratt. I'm the owner of Solomon Holdings, also the owner of Tin Roofs, the adjoining property. A longtime North Liberty resident, graduated from Penn Elementary. Kids go to school here, live in the county, and also own the Pizza Ranch here in town. So heavily invested in the community. Really excited about this project. Just thought I would talk for a minute and give you a little bit about my vision. So the idea is, 2020 obviously has been a difficult year for a lot of us. And throughout that time period, new construction has in multifamily has gone almost to a standstill. Just construction costs, as we all know, and you guys talked about earlier, have kind of gone through the roof. So something that's really unique when I was doing my research on this project is 4-star and 5-star properties in the Iowa City area have had zero growth in 2020 and zero projected growth in 2021. And the reason I bring that up is because this isn't your typical multifamily project. We're doing some things very unique. Interior design is something that doesn't necessarily exist here in town. 9-foot ceilings, very tall windows. I want to take advantage to the pond that you guys, the lake that, and the walking trails and the tie-in and being able to walk to banks, being able to walk to Tin Roofs. It's really kind of a live, eat, play sort of opportunity that I feel like is going to be tremendous in that area. So I just want to really reiterate that I develop apartments all throughout the state. North Liberty is my home. I'm excited to put this project here, and I think it's going to bring, a project that is unique to this area and something that we don't have.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we'll call the public hearing to a close. This will be a first consideration of ordinance number 2021-11. An ordinance amending chapter 167, North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located on the west side of Community Drive, approximately 240 feet south of West Penn Street, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for the C2A PAD Highway Commercial District Planned Area Development. Anyone wish to establish that first consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions?
Mayor, I've got a comment, please.
Yes.
Brandon, I would just want to say thank you. I do like this innovative idea. Everything Russ talked about earlier, I think it'll be a great offering to our city, and thank you for your continued investment in our city. Thank you.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I do, Mayor. I had a chance to talk to Russ briefly about this. Brandon, thanks for being on the meeting here with us, and thanks for what you've done for this investment here. I had a couple of questions that mostly had to deal with the residential part of it. That's the majority of this. I'll be honest, a few weeks ago or longer, when I heard that there was residential contemplated for this area, I wasn't a big fan. And as the weeks have gone on, though, as oftentimes happens, I've become in favor of it. I think it's going to be a great addition to that space. One question I had for Russ that we'll all just need to contemplate in the future is what it'll do to traffic flow, both out onto Ranshaw Way and onto Penn Street. And Ryan has assured us that we can always do traffic patterns or traffic counts there I believe we're probably going to be adding on to that flow and those intersections off of Community Drive, and it's going to probably warrant needing a stoplight possibly at some point in time down the road. The other big question for you though, Brandon, is can this be moved back at all from the pond, even 10 feet? And I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. I was kind of thinking that I'd want to shorten this building by 1 story. I thought it would dwarf the buildings across the pond, but it is at a little lower elevation. I think 4 stories will be okay in there. It'll look really out of place, but I think generally speaking, it won't look terribly so like I might have thought it would have even earlier, a couple of days ago. But I believe if you've got someone's patio or home that's going to be backing right up there to that bike trail, across the pond, you've got about 40 feet at a minimum between our bike trail and someone's patio over there. And it looks like we're probably going to be, I think 30 might be a liberal amount of space. So is there any room to move this building back just a tad bit more, especially considering the height, because it's that closer and it's taller than any other building around Liberty Center?
I have my civil team on this call as well, and I'll defer to him to let them to answer that. I think the only, first of all, we're here to establish a great city-private partnership, so we want to certainly listen to everything you guys have to say. I think the only concern would be is just how it would affect the parking. We want to get as much service level parking as possible. I mean, if we have room to shift the building, I think that'd be direction east or northeast, and it doesn't take away from parking spots. I think it's certainly something we could look at.
I actually have a few things I could share and appreciate the heads up, Chris, because it kind of helped me pull some of these documents together. But, like the one that, let's see here. So this kind of shows the site plan, and it's strange because it doesn't quite give you that much clarity. But so here, this solid line, or this dashed line through here, and then this solid line is the property line. You can see the existing trail is all off-site, but it kind of meanders off-site. But the 20-foot setback is measured from the property line, which is here, and to this dashed line right here, which goes along. And so it's further away as you get towards the middle of the building, and it just gets a little bit closer here. But fortunately, the trail tends to meander so that there's a larger setback. So from this dashed line here, to this solid line is 20 feet. So all the balconies are at least 20 feet, maybe possibly 30, as you mentioned. And then the other one that I kind of looked at was, proximity, and these 2 buildings here are the highest buildings. And if you'll notice, the trail actually goes on private property. And so it gets relatively close in this area. It gets a little bit further away, but just wanted to be able to kind of share that background. And I also thought about when we talk about in engineering and planning, and it gets dangerous when planners start talking engineering talk, I'll warn you. We talk about trip generation. Commercial development actually, generates higher traffic amounts than residential. And so with the proposed buildings, and we call it a mid-rise apartment, it's about 5.44 average daily trips. So that generated is 326 average daily trips. That would be our average. And so specialty retail is about 44.32 per 1,000 square feet. So you've got even when you start to contemplate, well, how much commercial could we get on this property? You could get generally a footprint that was, for a 1-story building, almost 4,000 square feet plus the 2,000. And so when you put that in the context, it would actually, commercial development would actually generate a higher amount of traffic. So just want to throw that out there. I appreciate it.
Consideration this evening is on the zoning, but again, those comments will be very apropos when we start getting to the design stage of the whole thing. Mr. Culver, I see that you joined us. Did you have something for this project, sir?
Well, Ryan did a good job of explaining. I think the only thing I might add, it is difficult for us to slide our project closer to the street the way it's designed. We're lining up with the properties adjacent to us, the way the parking aligns between the Tin Roost and the property to the south of us. We don't share parking with the property to the south, but our parking lot, if you see at the north, it aligns with Tin Roost, and we need to keep our drive aisles similar there. The other, yeah, it's kind of hard to, so that the darkened area represents some new pavement, and it basically is tying in with the Tin Roost parking lot is what we're illustrating there. And if we were to slide that building northeast, we would end up losing parking, which is it's a tough thing to do for this project. The other thing that I would bring up, if we were able to zoom out and look at the other properties south of us, I think they're pretty similar in proximity. They sit in there, some of them more parallel, some a little skew. And so I think we'll see that our proximity of our buildings to the trail are very much in keeping with the environment.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions by the council? Tracy, take roll, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
First consideration passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. Look forward to the further development on this one. Okay, guys? Thank you. Old business, people. New business.
Mayor, just wanted to bring up an item that you will all see. I don't know how many months it might be down the road, but I'm part of an effort as part of the Convention and Visitors Bureau board. We met last week as kind of a continuation of Project Better Together with ICAD and also with the downtown district, as well as the formerly the Iowa City Area Chamber of Commerce. And in an effort to think about how we can use those organizations for the betterment of this entire community. We got really tied together really well because of COVID and as a crisis mode. These groups were there, they were sticky, and they brought all of us together and were a tremendous resource to us. They have been working on an idea and will be in the next few months a way to continue to be sticky, but in moments of growth and prosperity. So as another way to be thinking about how they will be working together. There are going to be moments when this is probably going to be uncomfortable for us as individual cities, for the county, for neighborhoods around the community. But if I can just ask all of you to be thinking beyond your front door and maybe in your city and think about what we did as a region and as a community here during this past year, putting a positive effort that we can all get around to be working together. And one of the first things that we're going to be, this group won't be able to impact and all, but is the money that we're receiving through ARPA. We're all going to be making decisions as a community and as jurisdictions on how to spend that money. And sometimes we're all doing it in a silo. We don't really have the perspective on what might serve the community at large, whether it's the next city over or the county, or how we're all looking to do the same thing with our dollars. So instead of all of us using $1, can we each tip in 25 cents? So be looking for more and more of that momentum and communication to be building here over the next 3 to 6 months, I would anticipate.
Any other new items? If not, we'll wrap it up and adjourn the meeting, and thank you for your time.